Hello friends, welcome to the channel. I am Poonam. With me today you are going to cover very famous American novel, The Great Gatsby, written by F. Scott Fitzgerald. We will understand the novel and its themes and some important questions from exam point of view. Before proceeding further, please do not forget to share and subscribe the channel and please like and comment on this video. Before jumping onto the plot of the story, it is very important to understand about the story, about the age for which the story was written, something about the writer. The same pattern you need to follow in your examination as well whenever you are asked some question from a particular novel or play or poetry. Try to give some introduction first before jumping onto the topic asked in question. So let us understand Great Gatsby, 1925 novel by American writer F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it is set in Jazz Age. We will discuss the Jazz Age as well. Jazz Age on Long Island near New York City. And this is the lifespan of this writer, 1895 to 1940. Let us know first about this writer and then about Jazz Age. Maybe you can get a question related to Jazz Age for this particular novel. So it is important to know about Jazz Age as well. F. Scott Fitzgerald, Francis Scott Fitzgerald, that was the full name. He was an American novelist, essayist, short story writer, and screenwriter, and best known for his depiction of Jazz Age, a term that he made popular, and during his lifetime he published 4 novels, 4 story collections, and 164 short stories. This is the collection of novels by him. This one we are going to cover today, The Great Gatsby. And if in his introduction you write at least 1 or 2 other names as well, then it can be very scoring. Your answer can be very scoring. Whenever anyone talks about Jazz Age, there is one name that is recalled, F. Scott Fitzgerald. Yes, Jazz Age, a term was made popular by him. इन्होंने ही famous किया था इस term को. इसी term को Roaring 20s भी कहा जाता है और Jazz Age की शुरुआत हुई थी 1918 में with the end of the World War One. World War One जो कि 1914 से 18 तक चला था, and Jazz Age lasted for 10 years at least, lasted until 1928 जब stock market crash शुरू हुआ था अमेरिका में. एक बहुत इकोनॉमिक लो पीरियड आया था 1929 में, तब ये एंड हो गया था. एंड दिस पीरियड ऑफ जैज एज वाज मार्क्ड बाय great amount of economic prosperity, liberal behavior of people, social mobility, American dream also was there, bootlegging of liquor, and most notably jazz music. Jazz music, which is very explicitly there in the story of Great Gatsby as well. Let us go for a brief introduction of the novel first and then we will come to know the story. ये novel show करता है first person narration निक कैरेवे का. निक कैरेवे और उनके interaction with the animated millionaire J. Gatsby, who is the central character, eponymous character, titular character, and Gatsby's passion to unite with his former lover Daisy Buchanan. J. Gatsby was in love with Daisy Buchanan years back, and after 5 years, he again wants to unite with her, and for that union, how he becomes very friendly with Nick Carraway and how he is able to get back to his lady love and how the story takes shape further. This is what the story is all about. ये स्टोरी हमें पैशन दिखाती है इस कैरेक्टर का, जे गैट्सबी का पैशन टू बी रीयूनाइटेड विद डेजी बुकैनन. डेजी बुकैनन जिसको उन्होंने 5 साल पहले खो दिया था. He was poor, he was not a suitable match for her. Now he has, after 5 years, he has accumulated great amount of wealth, and that wealth brings him close to his beloved and eventually to his death as well, tragic death that also we come to know how all the story, all the plots, all the event take place. The novel tells the very tragic story of J. Gatsby, a self-made millionaire, I'll say, and his pursuit of Daisy Buchanan, a wealthy young woman who is married at present, but both of them were in love with each other during their youth 5 years back. स्टोरी की शुरुआत होती है निक कैरेवे नाम के एक कैरेक्टर से, और स्टोरी की शुरुआत को जो ईयर था दैट वाज 1922. इन द स्प्रिंग ऑफ 1922 निक एक घर लेते हैं एट द वेस्ट एग. आप लोग एरियाज के नाम, ज्योग्राफिकल नेम भी याद रखेंगे और उनको एग्जाम में प्रॉपरली मेंशन करेंगे. जस्ट डू नॉट मेंशन दैट निक bought a house in America. Nick bought a house in West Egg, America. That will be a right thing to do in exam. So Nick bought a house in West Egg, America, जहाँ पर बहुत ही न्यूली रिच पीपल ऑलरेडी एस्टैब्लिश थे, बहुत ही कलॉसल बंगलोज मैंशंस हुआ करते थे. वहां पर निक एक छोटा सा घर खरीदते हैं एंड द नेम ऑफ द प्लेस वाज वेस्ट एग. Two geographical locations are very important in the story, West Egg and East Egg. West Egg is of the newly rich people and East Egg is of the already established people. So across the water in more refined village of East Egg lives his cousin Daisy. This is Nick. निक की कजिन है हमारी नॉवेल की फीमेल प्रोटैगनिस्ट डेजी ब्यूकेनन, जो कि अपने हस्बैंड टॉम ब्यूकेनन के साथ ईस्ट एग में रहती हैं. वेस्ट एग में ही रहते हैं हमारे टाइटल कैरेक्टर ग्रेट गैट्सबी, जो कि निक के नेबर भी हैं और धीरे धीरे बहुत अच्छे फ्रेंड भी बन जाते हैं. जब निक इनको फर्स्ट टाइम देखता है तो ही सीज दैट ही इज स्ट्रेचिंग हिज आर्म अक्रॉस द वाटर टुवर्ड्स सम ग्रीन लाइट, एंड this green light was emitting from East Egg, the house of Daisy Buchanan. Gatsby was deeply in love with Daisy कि जब वो अपनी आर्म स्ट्रेच करते हैं तो उन्हें फील होता है कि he is able to touch or feel Daisy. So despite the water serving as an obstacle, Gatsby always desires to possess Daisy in his arm, and Gatsby is aware of where to extend his arm. उनको लोकेशन भी पता थी. डेजी बिल्कुल नहीं जानती थी कि गैट्सबी यहीं पर रहते हैं, लेकिन गैट्सबी को सब कुछ पता था डेजी के whereabouts के बारे में. So due to the bright green light noticeable on Daisy's dog, he daily used to stretch his arms to take the feel of Daisy. Once Nick gets a chance to meet Daisy, his cousin. So early in one summer, Nick goes over to Daisy's house for dinner, where he also meets one person, Jordan Baker, a friend of Daisy and a well-known golf champion as well, who tells him that Tom has a mistress in New York City. This is Daisy, this is Tom, Daisy's husband, and Jordan knows some secret of Tom, Daisy's husband, that he has a mistress in New York City, and she tells about the secret to Nick Carraway. And during the same meet at a private conversation, Daisy confesses to Nick that she has been unhappy in her marriage. She is not happy with the behavior of Tom, and she also indicates that most probably he is having an affair with someone. That was the same night when he returns to his house in West Egg from East Egg. At Daisy's house, he catches the sight of his neighbor Jay Gatsby. Jay Gatsby को वो उस दिन पहली बार देखते हैं, standing alone in the dark and stretching his arms out to the green light burning across the way at the end of Tom and Daisy's dock. After this, Nick gets busy in his daily task. He used to work at a stock exchange, and after some days in a particular day of July, Tom takes Nick with him and makes him meet his mistress Myrtle Wilson, who lives with her husband George Wilson in the Valley of Ashes. Valley of Ashes, which was considered to be an industrial town, a low-grade town of wasteland. The three of them, Nick, Tom, and Myrtle, they go to an apartment in Manhattan, and this apartment is brought for the enjoyment purpose by Tom for his mistress Myrtle. They are joined by Myrtle, some friends, sisters, cousins, and some other people who live nearby, and the evening ends in heavy drunkenness. So this was the July season. As the summer progresses slowly and steadily, Nick grows quite accustomed, quite habitual to the noises, lights of dazzling parties, जो कि jazz age का एक symbolism है इस novel में. बहुत ही high profile, colorful, magnificent parties throw की जाती है by Gatsby. Gatsby का purpose है party throw करने का कि I will invite everyone from the city, not by formal invitation, but this is a party anyone can reach here and can enjoy. And he is always in hope that someday Daisy will also appear there and he will get a chance to meet his lost lady love. So full Well-stocked bar and full jazz orchestra, everything is present there for the enjoyment of the people. And irony is that Gatsby himself is not able to enjoy. He just keeps on observing all the guests in the hope of meeting Daisy one day. You can see here the lavishness of his parties. Everyone is enjoying luxurious parties with vibrant settings and jazz music, but host is not there. Eventually, Nick also gets a chance to attend one of those parties, but Nick was a different case. Nick was the only person who was invited officially. No one was ever invited to the parties of Gatsby. They used to be open parties. So Nick attends one of these parties where when he is personally invited by Gatsby and runs into Jordan also. Jordan, with whom he spends most of the evenings, he has become a good friend of hers, and he is struck by the apparent absence of the host. होस्ट ने बुलाया और होस्ट ही नहीं है, and the impression that all of his guests seem to have dark theories, rumors about Gatsby's past. जितने भी वहां पर गेस्ट आते हैं वो सब एंजॉय तो करते हैं उन पार्टीज को, लेकिन साथ ही साथ गैट्सबी के बारे में, उसके पास्ट के बारे में कुछ ना कुछ थियोरीज और कुछ ना कुछ स्पेकुलेशंस, कुछ ना कुछ रूमर्स क्रिएट करते रहते हैं. However, somehow he gets to meet Gatsby, J. Gatsby. Nick meets him at last in a quiet encounter. बिल्कुल शांत था माहौल. Later in the evening, when the man sitting beside him identifies himself as Gatsby. निक ने एक इमेज बनाई हुई थी, बहुत ही हाई प्रोफाइल कोई रूड पर्सन होगा, इतना रिच है तो इतनी लेविश पार्टीज अगर थ्रो करता है तो, बट दैट पर्सन with whom he met, he found him very down to earth, very sophisticated, and very civilized, very friendly. Gatsby had a charming personality and a beautiful smile. So these are the lines spoken about the personality of Gatsby by Nick. He had one of those rare smiles with a quality of eternal reassurance in it that you may come across 4 or 5 times in life. It faced or seemed to face the whole external world for an instant and then concentrated on you with an irresistible prejudice in your favor. So it seemed, just because of his smile, it seemed that he is the person who can always be with you once he becomes your friend. After this meet with Jordan and with Gatsby, Nick begins seeing Jordan Baker and becomes better familiar with Gatsby as well. And once they are driving into Manhattan for lunches, Gatsby tries to drive out the rumor circulated around him, and he tells Nick that he is the son of very well-off people. निक अभी तक बहुत सारे र्यूमर सुनते आ रहे थे ना गैट्सबी के बारे में कि शायद उन्होंने किसी इलीगल तरीके से इतनी वेल्थ एक्यूमुलेट की है, बट Gatsby is telling in the scene at present to Nick that he is the son of very well-off people who are dead now, and that he's in Oxford. Oxford, such a prestigious university. He is an Oxford man and a war hero, and Nick seems to be incredulous or suspicious about this, but he does not say or speak anything. Once Gatsby takes Nick to lunch, and at lunch they meet the partner of Gatsby, whose name is Meyer Wolfsheim. मेयर वॉल्फिशम भी बहुत सारी बातें करते हैं निक के साथ अबाउट गैट्सबी, एंड ही ऑलमोस्ट कंफर्म्स ईच एंड एवरी स्टेटमेंट ऑफ हिम that he was an Oxford man and he was a war hero once, and that he has accumulated wealth because of being the son of a wealthy family. So everything that was being told to Nick by Gatsby, the same sentences are being told to Nick by Mayor Wolfisham. जॉर्डन और निक की बहुत अच्छी दोस्ती हो चुकी है, and during one of the conversation Jordan tells Nick the surprising thing that Gatsby had told her in confidence at his party. Gatsby has known Nick's cousin Daisy almost 5 years earlier in Louisville, and they had been in love. Gatsby और Daisy एक दूसरे को जानते थे 5 साल पहले और एक दूसरे से बहुत प्यार करते थे, but then he went away to fight in a war and she got married to Tom Buchanan. Gatsby bought his house, accumulated wealth, and bought a house on West Egg so that he could be across the water from her. गैट्सबी डेजी से इतना प्यार करते थे कि उनके आसपास ही रहना चाहते थे, एंड दैट इज द रीजन ही बॉट अ हाउस इन वेस्ट एग। लेकिन गैट्सबी कभी भी नहीं चाहते थे कि जबरदस्ती वो डेजी से मिले और उनकी लाइफ में इंक्लूड हो। He always wanted that by chance one day he should meet Daisy and he should find out how she feels now. So at Gatsby's request, Nick agrees to invite Daisy to his house, where Gatsby can show that he just happened to meet her by chance. So he invites Daisy for tea, and as per the plan, Gatsby shows just like that visit. And Daisy is quite astonished to see Gatsby after nearly 5 years. So after this emotional meeting, they go next door to Gatsby's enormous house, Gatsby's big, beautiful mansion. And Gatsby shows off its impressive rooms to Daisy and keeps on expressing his love to her by his words, by his emotions, and by showering expensive gifts over her. After this day, they start meeting each other very frequently. And somehow, Tom also becomes aware of Daisy's association with Gatsby, and obviously, he feels jealous. On one very hot day at the end of summer, Nick arrives for lunch at the Buchanan's house. Nick, Daisy और टॉम के घर पहुंचते हैं लंच के लिए, और गैट्सबी और जॉर्डन को भी इनवाइट किया जा चुका है. For sure, Tom has something in his mind that he wants to talk about. In the dining room, Daisy Gatsby को ज़्यादा attention पे कर रही है, ज़्यादा compliments पे कर रही है, which makes clear her love for him, and this is what makes Tom more jealous. Tom notices it and he insists कि वो टाउन में एक ड्राइव लेकर आते हैं, किसी होटल में चलते हैं सभी लोग. Daisy and Gatsby leave in Tom's blue coupe while Tom drives Jordan and Nick in Gatsby's garish yellow car. आप लोग ये ध्यान से देखिए, इस सीन की बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस है. डेजी और गैट्सबी ब्लू कार में गए हैं और टॉम, जॉर्डन और निक येलो कार से गए हैं. This hotel scene is very important to know the characteristic of each character. इन दिस सीन हमारे जो नरेटर हैं और जॉर्डन, वो तो बहुत ही काम है, एंड ओनली द आर्ग्यूमेंट्स वी गेट टू हियर बिटवीन टॉम, डेजी एंड गैट्सबी. इवन डेजी इज क्वाइट साइलेंट. वी गेट टू हियर ओनली टॉम एंड गैट्सबी इन दिस सीन. सो इन दिस सीन एट होटल प्लाजा देयर इज अ मोमेंट ऑफ ट्रूथ. टॉम कन्फ्रंट करते हैं गैट्सबी और डेजी को अबाउट देयर ऑनगोइंग अफेयर, एंड गैट्सबी एंड टॉम आर्ग्यू अबाउट दिस अफेयर. Gatsby insists करते हैं डेजी को कि she can leave Tom and she can live with him. Gatsby insists Daisy declare that she never loved Tom. Daisy stays silent, which upsets Tom and Gatsby both. After this, Tom reveals to Daisy that Gatsby is a swindler, is a smuggler whose money comes from bootlegging alcohol. Alcohol को illegal तरीके से import export करवाने में ही गैट्सबी ने मनी को एक्यूमुलेट किया है, सारे इलीगल बिजनेस किए हैं, जिसकी वजह से इतनी क्विक मनी वो बना पाए. अपॉन हियरिंग दिस, डेजी को ऐसा फील होना शुरू हो जाता है कि आई विल नॉट हैव एनी फ्यूचर विद समवन जिसकी मनी इलीगल तरीके से आई है. आई शुड स्टे विद टॉम, जिनके पास एंसेस्ट्रल मनी है. After she does not say it explicitly, she just thinks about it, she just takes that practical decision. And after this, Tom scornfully tells Gatsby to drive her home. आप मेरी wife को drive करके घर ले आइए, because he was very confident even if she has a small drive with Gatsby, she is never going to leave him. वापस आते हुए दोनों की कार्स एक्सचेंज हो जाती हैं. Gatsby this time leaves in yellow car and rest of them in blue car. On the road while coming back, both of them were quite disturbed and they hit and kill Myrtle, who was the mistress of Tom. They accidentally kill Myrtle after a vehement argument between both of them, and she had run. Myrtle by chance had run on the street, considering that it must be the car of Tom. Tom थोड़ी देर पहले इसी कार में यहाँ से गए थे होटल प्लाजा जाते हुए, तो Myrtle thinks that it is the car of Tom. Accidentally she runs into that car and she is killed in that accident. गैट्सबी को अभी भी एक मिसकंसेप्शन है कि डेजी नीड्स हिम, डेजी को टॉम मिसट्रीट करेंगे, टॉर्मेंट करेंगे और डेजी को उनकी जरूरत पड़ेगी. ही कीप्स ऑन हाइडिंग नियर बाय अ ट्री अंडर द हाउस ऑफ डेजी. निक, जिनको की प्रैक्टिकलिटी पता चल चुकी है डेजी की, निक फाइंड्स गैट्सबी हाइडिंग इन द गार्डन एंड लर्न्स दैट इट वाज डेजी हु वाज ड्राइविंग एंड एवरीबody thinks that it was Gatsby driving. The police and administration are after Gatsby. So he insists that Gatsby should run away and he says that he will wait. Gatsby says that no, I'll wait here for Daisy. Daisy can need me anytime because I know Tom is going to abuse Daisy. निक एडवाइस करते हैं गैट्सबी को, गैट्सबी के बहुत अच्छे फ्रेंड बन चुके हैं. निक उनको एडवाइस करते हैं कि यू शुड गो अवे, योर कार विल सून बी ट्रेस्ड, बट ही रिफ्यूजेस एंड दैट नाइट ही टेल्स निक द ट्रूथ अबाउट हिज पास्ट. He had come from a poor family. He was lying earlier that he's from a very well-to-do family. He had come from a poor family and had met Daisy in Louisville. And while serving in the army, he met her, but he was too poor to marry her at that time. And after being back from the war, he earned his incredible wealth only after the war by bootlegging. And Tom discovers this bootlegging scenario to be true now. But although anyhow, by heart, Gatsby is really a good person and truly he loves Daisy. Nick does not want to leave Gatsby at this moment. Nick, I think, is only loyal person with Gatsby at present. Reluctantly, Nick को जाना पड़ता है Gatsby को छोड़कर. Gatsby continues to wait for a call from Daisy. वो डेजी की प्रैक्टिकलिटी को समझना ही नहीं चाह रहे. एंड दैट सेम आफ्टरनून जॉर्ज विल्सन हु वाज द हस्बैंड ऑफ मार्टल, जिनका एक्सीडेंट हो गया है निक और डेजी से. So George Wilson arrives in East Egg, where Tom tells him that it was Gatsby who killed his wife. George Wilson was also deeply in love with his wife, and he's not at all happy that his wife died accidentally, and he is full of anger at present that he can kill the murderer. So Tom जानबूझकर जॉर्ज को बताते हैं कि Gatsby was the person who killed his wife, and Wilson makes his way to Gatsby's house where he finds Gatsby in pool. Wilson shoots Gatsby first and then himself, and afterward the Buchanans leave Long Island. Daisy और Tom Long Island छोड़कर चले जाते हैं. They do not even care to give any forwarding address or any message for Gatsby, or feel it their duty to attend Gatsby's funeral even. Nick arranges Gatsby's funeral himself, although only 2 people did attend, one of whom is Gatsby's father. Nick moves back to the Midwest disgusted with the life in East. Nick वापस अपने Midwest में चले जाते हैं और उनको ये city life बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं आती है, जहाँ के लोग इतने practical हैं कि किसी का funeral भी attend नहीं कर सकते. The novel concludes with these lines, and these lines also happen to be the epitaph of F. Scott Fitzgerald. So we beat on boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. These words, as I told you, conclude the novel. It is the reference to the futility of our attempts to escape the past, even as we look to the future, dreaming of how tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms farther. हम अगले कल की बहुत सारी प्लानिंग कर लेते हैं और पास्ट से कभी भी बाहर नहीं आ पाते हैं. Humans prove themselves unable to move beyond the past events, and they expand all their energy in pursuit, in running after a goal that moves even farther and farther away. ऐसे गोल्स के पीछे भागना चाहते हैं जो कि फ्यूचर में हमसे दूर भागते रहते हैं और अपने पास्ट से कभी भी पीछा नहीं छुड़ा पाते हैं. There are many important themes in this novel which will be helpful for your examination. We will discuss all the themes in next part. You may join the classes to cover all the topics in detail. Can click the link in description to get connected to us for admission purpose. Thanks a lot for watching. Best of luck for exam, and do not forget to share and subscribe the channel.